A live edition of the wrap-up show with John and Jim, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Make your way into the chat. We'll let you know that if you're here live or on replay, make sure to subscribe to the wrap-up show right here on YouTube. We've got exclusive year-round Padres content for you. This lockout is going to end at some point. Hit that notification bell as well. You'll be notified when we have new videos. Make sure to like these videos. Smash that like button. Follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. It is Sunday night. Football season, Jim, is over. Typically, this is when people tweet out, "Oh, we're whatever number of days away from baseball." Well, we can't guarantee that, unfortunately, right now. But I'm turning the page. I'm looking forward to baseball. Hopefully, they can get this thing resolved sooner rather than later.
I think everybody is, Padres fans especially, and baseball fans in general. Just like you said, we can't officially say this many days until pitchers and catchers, this many days until spring training starts. We don't even know literally if the season's going to start on time. So yeah, I'm glad that baseball is, on top of it right now and making sure that they're talking every day. Good job, guys.
Oh yeah,
you're doing great. Just want to flip them off and just tell them to F themselves.
Well, at least they talked on the weekend. At least they spoke yesterday. If you're getting into the chat, if you're getting into this live chat right now, make sure to let us know where you're watching from, and what's your level of, how worried are you about March 31st? I mean, I think a lot of people are worried. We're two of them. I still think there's enough time, Jim, if I'm being honest, and we could start there, and we'll get to Mark Nimitz, our title sponsor, in a second. I still think there's time. I don't think it's panic time yet. It's not even the middle of February. We still have at least 2 weeks. If this is resolved in the next 2 weeks, even 3, I think they play March 31st. But there's no question. It's concerning right now.
It's very concerning. It's one of those things where the unknown is the worst. I hate having unknowns with anything in life,
right?
Especially sports. And by the way, I'm seeing people chime in. Wherever you're watching tonight, say where you're watching in the chat, and we will get you on here. Wow. Okay, we got Sam is in Temecula.
What's up, Sam? Have a glass of wine for us.
We got Erie Fan Geek in North Park.
What's going on?
Kevin's in Virginia. What up?
Late night.
What up, Kevin?
Kevin, what are you doing up? Watching the Olympics?
Probably. Cobra Spring Valley. Yeah. AMG's in West Chula Vista. Probably a Bengals fan. Pretty bummed the Bengals lost.
If I was a Bengals fan, man, that ending,
dude, I would literally I would go outside. The first person I saw, I'm like, I'm fighting you. I'm legitimately fighting you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do, but I'm so mad right now. I'm throwing hands. Right, like
it's a problem with official. That's a problem with the sports that have officials. Same thing happens in baseball, like a bad strike call or a bad ball call. Or
oh my god!
But I mean, come on, that was a phantom call there, wasn't it?
Just we'll talk more about that tomorrow on our show, John and Jim, starting at 3 on Extra 1360. But dude, that game was so clean all the way up to that
until
point.
Then. I agree with you.
And then the refs decided, hey, we're going to be involved.
Although the Ramsey helmet grab was pretty egregious too.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're not going to call it both ways, just let it go. You know what I mean? Like I will say the refs are doing a good job, just letting it go for the first 3.5 quarters, and that's fine. Let's go back to the shout outs here. I think this is Moe.
Yeah,
Phoenix?
maybe Moe.
Shout out in Phoenix. We got Gabo.
That's awesome.
Mexico.
I've noticed, Jim, on YouTube, we can look at the analytics of where people are watching from. Right. I want to say something like 5% of our viewers are viewing from Mexico, which I think is awesome.
Nice.
And speaks to kind of the interest in the Padres below the border.
Pony, Imperial Beach, hanging out with Darren tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, I like this one right here. Brandon, watching from the Philippines.
What time is it in the Philippines,
Philippines? It has to be tomorrow morning, right?
It's got to be, or 3 days from now.
3 days from now.
What happens tomorrow, Brandon?
Yeah, tell us, please. We want a spoiler alert. B Danger 007 in Orange County. Izzy,
very cool.
Old Town, National City. What up there? One of my favorite personal handle,
yes.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Shout out from the East Bay area.
Nice.
Let's see here. We got Daniel in La Mesa. Yeah. So Shout out. Oh, he says it's 1:17
Once,
p.m. on a Monday. So you're like, it's like
man,
after. Jeez,
Brandon, is the
afternoon
lockout
for you.
over? Did they solve it on Monday? Did the
Yeah,
two
can you let
sides
us
meet?
know?
By the way, Cobra said, aren't the Chihuahuas in Mexico or AAA team? They're actually in El Paso. So they're a border town as well, but they're in the
Yeah.
U.S.
We got Adrian in Oceanside. We got shout
Ryan's
out
in
in
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa. Jeez, it's like
Mm,
it's like a national show right now.
yeah,
National
I like
Padres
it.
show.
I like it. All right, let's get rolling. Let's start with Mark Nimitz. By the way, if you want to make sure we get your question tonight, we will get to questions. We'll try to get to as many as we can. If you want to make sure we see your question and you want to make sure it's on screen, you can do that super chat function. We'll make sure to get to it. We appreciate the interest and the support of the wrap-up show. We wouldn't be here without Mark Nimitz, by the way, at Farmers Insurance. I just switched over my homeowners and my earthquake to Mark. He can save you $440 this year if you got auto, home, renters, or life insurance needs. Huge Padres fan. He would literally love to talk to you, just to talk Padres and to talk about your insurance needs as well. He could save you $440 this year. He can save you more if you have an electric vehicle. He's been doing this for over a decade. He's got great customer service and communication. He's like us. He's a Padres fan with a small business here in San Diego, and he's a San Diegan. So if you have any insurance needs, you can click the link down below to get to Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.
And all his information, as always, is above my head. Phone number and email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. That's mnimitz@farmersagent.com. When you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap Up Show sent you.
I think you put on social media, Jim, or you might have titled this video a certain way about the Padres baseball operations department, quote unquote, giving up on Eric Hosmer having the production that they had hoped he would have when they signed that 8-year, $144 million deal 4 seasons ago. Kevin Acee wrote about that in the UT earlier this week. That's not really a surprise to me that the Padres baseball operations department has given up on the idea of Eric Hosmer producing the way he should be producing based on that deal. What's going on, Larry? So we're heading into year 5, and as you and I have been talking about, this deal's not done. Even if it gets done in 2 weeks, it's like, how do you move Eric Hosmer? All of a sudden, you're in spring training. And I think Kevin also wrote about the fact that they're kind of resigned to the fact that there's a very high likelihood he starts the year on the roster.
Right. And giving up on Hosmer, it's hard to say you've given up on somebody when he's still with you and you can't just like give him away. I mean, I'm sure they want to, but it's like harder than that. They've given up on the hope and the reliance on, okay, he can be a major offensive contributor to this team. That's what they've given up on. They've given up on counting on Eric Hosmer to be the guy they paid for. He's not the guy they paid for at all. He is it's a complete bust of a contract. It will go down as, unless he magically turns it around this year with the team and becomes an all-star and helps lead this team to the postseason and has a huge postseason and all that stuff, it'll go down as the worst contract in franchise history. No question about it. And that's what they've given up on. They've given up on the hope that he can make it look like not a bad contract. That's what they've given up on. Like, they just know, like, okay, he's not going to do anything for us. His production's not going to equal the money he's getting paid. So we either need to find a way to just live with it or get super creative whenever this lockout ends and try to trade him. Or, I know the DFA is what you've talked about before. Just DFA him if you really feel this way. So they're stuck in between, the adage, stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They are definitely stuck in between a rock and a hard place with Eric Hosmer.
100%. And by the way, DFAing him, I think it's more likely after 2022 because he's owed sizably less after that, $39 million after 2022, $59 million right now. The one scenario where I could see a play out, I consider it unlikely, is if the luxury tax number goes up so much in the new CBA. Right now, they're talking about going up a little, just a few $1 million. It's not giving the Padres the flexibility they need. If it goes up $15 or $20 million, you could cut bait with Eric Hosmer and still have the $15 or $20 million to work with if that number goes up. I don't see it. I don't see them moving him. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do move him. I don't want to see them attach a huge prospect to Eric Hosmer because I don't want to get beat twice on a deal like that if I'm AJ Preller. But I'm with you. If you have to get creative and if you think it makes your team better in 2022, I'd consider everything when it comes to Eric Hosmer. I really would.
Is this true? Only 34 players in baseball make more than Hosmer?
Makes sense. 20 million. So 35 players basically in baseball making 20 million plus
I think
next
3 of them are
year.
on the Padres, by the way.
Well, you're right. You're right. I mean, Machado and Tatis will, and Myers will. By the way, he's gonna make 20 million next year, right?
Yeah, and same thing with Darvish. I think Darvish is making that much money
That's
as well.
right. So are
Yeah.
5 of the top 40 highest paid players in baseball in the Padres? Probably something like that. Makes
Probably.
sense. They're second or
Yeah.
third in payroll.
Yeah.
What's
Taco
Taco
Bell,
Bell
thank
got
you.
here? Shout
Yes, thank
out.
you for the super chat.
Shout
He
out.
says it's obvious the Padres don't want Hosmer. They can't trade him. Will he be sour and bring down the locker room in a negative way? It's a great question
It
because
is.
he's viewed as like a big leader on this team. I don't think it helped last year with what happened at the trade deadline with that
Right.
clubhouse. We heard reports how the clubhouse kind of was turning on AJ Preller. They turned on Jace Tingler for sure because he was Preller's puppet. You hope it doesn't, but again, I don't know. Eric Hosmer hasn't talked to the media since the trade deadline or before the trade
Right.
deadline. And who knows what he could do? Who knows if he comes in and he's just a total douche and he decides he's going to sabotage things and pout and, because of these reports, he's just going to not try to bring everybody down, but just the way he's acting, it ends up bringing down everybody anyway. You don't know. I literally don't know. I have no idea what he'll do.
Here's the reason why I would hope that wouldn't happen, Jim, and it has to do with Bob Melvin. It's like it's
Right.
hard to quit on a quote unquote a new manager for the Padres and a guy that's had success. If you want to quit on what happened with Jace Tingler last year, I don't, I don't appease that type of
I don't like it either.
action. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he went about it the right way last year, not talking to the media the final 2 months of the year. But I understand hurt feelings in that spot. I mean, he's in year 4 of an 8-year deal last year, and they're trying to move him. I understand there's some hurt feelings there, but you can't quit on Bob Melvin, a guy that's won a lot.
If you quit on Bob Melvin, like that is when I will throw every single day DFA him right now. If he quits on Bob Melvin and he becomes a distraction with Bob Melvin in that clubhouse, I don't care how much money you have to pay. You got to get rid of him now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I don't see it. Do you? You know what I mean? He's still a professional. I mean, maybe those couple of months didn't go well, but I think he's capable of not like completely pouting over the course of 162 games. I mean, I think he's capable of helping, but the problem is there's also a scenario where he's not helping, right? I mean, if you look at his numbers these last 4 years, you could argue if it's been beneficial from the Padres' perspective or not. Certainly that money, he hasn't been helping. So I don't know what you're going to get out of Eric Hosmer. I don't know what the production will be. I just don't think he's going to quit. I hope he doesn't quit on the team in 2022.
Because he's still very close with Manny Machado. We've heard Tatis mention how much he looked up and looks up to Eric Hosmer because when Tatis came to the bigs in 2019, like the guy that he gravitated to was Hos. And so Hosmer carries some clout in that clubhouse for sure. No doubt about it. It's just like, to me, how I view it is it's hard to be viewed as a leader of a clubhouse when you don't produce. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. That's a great point. That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
One other topic of conversation, we have a couple, and we can get to some of these comments as well. I know you saw this, and I don't know Japanese, and I don't think you do either. And I'm just taking the word of people on Twitter that quote tweeted the Yahoo Japan report that the Padres are now the front runner for Seiya Suzuki. If that is accurate, that is a massive story when it comes to Padres baseball. You're talking about a player in his prime that's been a 900-plus OPS player in the Nippon Professional Baseball League that will get tons of interest. As we know, Jim, once this lockout ends, he'll be pursued by probably 10 or 15 of the 30 major league clubs. He'll be paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $20 million a year. There'll be a posting fee as well to his club. I don't know. Yahoo Japan a week or two ago said the Boston Red Sox were a front runner for Seiya Suzuki. Now, half a month later, they say the Padres are a front runner for Seiya Suzuki. I hope they're right now as opposed to then.
Well, here's my question. How can you be a front runner for somebody when you're in a lockout and you technically can't talk to players and you can't technically talk to agents? So how can you be perceived as a front runner? Is this all through Seiya Suzuki and his camp saying, like once this lockout ends, I want to go to the Padres, then okay, yeah, they're obviously the front runner if that's the case. But other than that, how can you be perceived a front runner for somebody because you can't talk to them?
I mean, that's really the $50 million question. I
Or
think
60
every
million.
big year, 60 million or whatever the number is going to be. I think
Right.
a lot of big league teams are going to want in on the Seiya Suzuki conversation. We know a lot of clubs talked to him initially before the
Mhm.
lockout. So, there's a high level of interest. The reason I think he's so appealing to me, Jim, is that there's a level of player like Nick Castellanos that's going to cost teams an arm and a leg, not just the Padres. I mean, you're talking about a $200 million contract for someone like Chris Bryant or Nick Castellanos. Maybe that's high, but whatever. It's
Right.
possible someone gives money like that. Say Suzuki's nowhere near that, and the level of production could be similar, and he's younger than both of those players. To me, that's ultra appealing. All we hear about during this lockout is how do teams maximize players without paying them $30 million a year. You need to find players like, say, a Suzuki, as opposed to Nick Castellanos, to win in today's Major League Baseball. The $10 million a year player, not the $30 million a year player. So I know he's going to be sought after highly. We know he's got interest probably in a coast, east or west. That eliminates
Mhm.
half the teams. Um, Man, if they could land him, because they need an outfielder, right? They really do need a starting
Yeah.
outfielder. That's a big upgrade over Tommy Pham. I mean, it's a really big upgrade over Tommy Pham.
We asked this question on John and Jim. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. For you as Padres fans, and put in the chat right
Yeah,
now if you're watching, what is the biggest need for this team? The options were left fielder, closer, starting pitching, or a DH.
right.
And I think the majority said left fielder, followed by starter, followed by DH and closer. Because closer,
Hmm.
we know that Preller has had a history with getting good closers on cheap. But left field is the, and I agree that you don't have a starting left fielder. Like you can put someone in the DH spot. You can find a closer. You have starting pitching, maybe not enough starting pitching, but you still have starting pitching. You
Sure.
have no left fielder, like none. If you want to put Profar out there, that's not a good solution for 162 games.
Hmm.
Who else would be an option in left field right now on this roster?
No, you're right. Not for 162. I'm with you. What did Jerks and Profar show you in 2021 that would lead you to believe he's capable of playing every single game in 2022 and producing offensively?
No, nothing.
Nothing. I mean, they have to get
No.
a starting outfielder,
And
regardless of what happens.
guys, please stop looking at 2020 numbers. Stop it. I know
Right. Because
Profar had
2021 was a full year.
I know 2020 Profar had a good year. I know Hosmer played well in 2020. But seriously, stop looking at all 2020 numbers for everybody. Those are fake. They're not real. So don't try to convince yourself that Profar could play every day in left field. It's not going to happen. They need a bona fide left fielder. And if Seiya Suzuki is a guy out there that you can get for $55 to $70 million for like a 5-year deal, then that's, I'm a little skeptical on Suzuki. Like, but I would like it if they sign him to that deal. It's better
Pull up
than
the
Castellanos for like 200.
Jim, pull up the chat if you can from Sam McDermott. It came in a couple of minutes ago. I can't be the only one. He writes this. I can't be the only one very hesitant to bring in Suzuki. There's no
Hold on.
guarantee he even produces at the big league level. The reason I wanted to pull that up, and to your point as well, you've had a level of hesitancy with Suzuki.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no guarantees, and there's no
No.
guarantees with guys that trade clubs or come over from clubs in the big leagues either. I mean, Blake Snell last year had a terrible first half with the Padres. He's won a Cy Young just a couple of years ago. The reason I like Suzuki is because of his affordability. And also, here's the thing: you just gave Hassan Kim a deal that's like 60% of the Suzuki deal, probably. Like if Suzuki's going to cost 55 million, and you
4
just
for
gave
28.
Hassan Kim 30 million, right? It's like, come on. I mean, if you were willing to give Hassan Kim a reserve infielder with a bat that could play potentially down the line, then how couldn't you give that money to Suzuki, whose bat does play right now and performed at a higher level in a better league than the Korean League, whatever that's called? I
Mhm.
forget.
Yeah.
So This is it's a business of risk reward, but I think the risk of 50 million. I mean, considering the way they've spent their money the last handful of off seasons, the Drew Pomerances and the Ha-Sung Kims, and even some of the trades they've made. I mean, I think it's a worthwhile investment. Again, if it's $200 million, different conversation, but 50 million.
Yeah. Let's go to Michael. Appreciate the super chat as
Oh,
always.
thanks, Michael. Huge
He
fan
says
of the
really
wrap-up
no
show.
more. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. He says really no more Hosmer. I would trade Kim instead of Hos.
So okay, he's saying okay, enough on Hosmer. Okay, so he said get rid of Kim and just know
Instead
that
of
Haas
Hos.
is going to be here in 2022.
Right.
You could probably, I don't know. I think there's probably more suitors for Ha-Sung Kim. He's got 3 years left. What is it,
Right.
$7 million a year, Jim?
Yeah, but he can't hit. Like he hasn't hit.
Right.
I mean, maybe he comes. I mean, the dude looked swole in that picture I saw of him at the airport.
Yeah.
Swole Kim.
Right.
I don't. It'd be hard to trade both of them. It'd be hard to trade either one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would think so. I mean, Ha-Sung Kim, I'm trying to think about it from another club's perspective. What are you getting? I don't think you're getting a proven regular. I think you're getting a versatile defensive replacement that could maybe start, 80 to 100 games. But what are you going to get offensively? I think you're getting a brilliant defensive player with the possibility down the road of being maybe big league average hitter for his position. Maybe.
Right. Like the thing with Ha-Sung Kim is if he hit just like 260, he's an everyday player. Like a 260 with like a 330 on base. That's an everyday player with his defense. He's every day. But can you expect that out of him? Can you expect him to hit 260 to 270 with like a 330 on base?
I'm just trying. I mean, he didn't do that obviously last year, as we know.
No.
So what was
it was like two? He hit like 210 last year.
Yeah, he hit 202 with a 270 on base. I mean, that's not even close to being productive as a regular. Now, again, according to some of these sites, his WAR was 2. That's based on his defense. So you could argue, hey, if he played a 162, could that WAR be 3 or 4 just based on his defense? I don't know. All I know is his OPS plus, which is major league average is 100 OPS plus. He was 73. I mean, it doesn't get lower than that for a regular. Eric Hosmer was nowhere near a 73. He was like a 100. So like major league average hitter last year, he was a 73. So there's a lot of room for him to get anywhere close to being a big league average hitter with on base and slugging.
And it just goes back to our discussion here of Seiya Suzuki. And should we be hesitant? Like if the Padres signed him, should we be hesitant because he is a player in Japan and to expect him to come in and produce in the majors right away when he's never played baseball in the majors is maybe a little too much? Should we feel that way? I mean,
maybe it takes a year, I mean, it certainly for Shohei, it took a little bit of time, and that guy was a brilliant hitter, obviously in Japan. And
he got hurt. If he was also he won Rookie of the Year.
Right.
Okay, then he got hurt.
Had the
then
Tommy
he came
John.
back and had the Tommy John. He came back and became like he's the borderline face of baseball with Tatis.
It did take time, and he's in the prime of his career. It did take a little bit of time, but I think the upside with Suzuki is just significant. I don't know what the downside is. I mean, they've wasted $144 million on Hosmer. They've given $80+ million to Myers. They've given $40 million to Pomeranz. They've given $40 million to Ha-Sung Kim. You're not going to give $50 million to Seiya Suzuki. Like, to me, that's just math doesn't add up there. It would make sense for me. If you've made those other investments, why wouldn't you do it with Seiya Suzuki?
It would make sense. And
I got another topic for you,
Suzuki.
I got another topic for you. The universal DH is coming to the big leagues in 2022 whenever this gets done. The owners have said it. The players are the ones that wanted it. And the owners have said, we will appease that request. And we know these two sides are far off, but they have agreed on a universal DH. So from the Padres' perspective, it's got to be Nelson Cruz as the front runner, right?
Yes. That has to be the number one option. Once this lockout ends, Nelson Cruz. That's your guy. I would feel like it'd be a shocker if they don't sign him, wouldn't you?
100%. I mean, shocker might be a little strong, actually, because there's 15 National League teams. But I think that they're the favorite.
Bummed.
I think they're the favorite. Yeah, I'd be bummed out because I know how much they want him in 2021. And now that the DH is coming, I feel like that would be a huge addition. a significant addition and an upgrade in a position where you can't just look internally. Like you can't. It's not going to be Eric Hosmer. It's not going to be Luis Campusano. I mean, maybe Campusano, but that's a big leap from very limited big league opportunities to be the everyday DH for the Padres. So I think they need a player like Nelson Cruz, who's, a bona fide DH.
Yeah. Michael, appreciate the super chat again. He says he was wrong. He said it was going to be January 31st and the lockout would end.
Lockout?
Yes, you are wrong.
Michael, you're not the only one. I mean, we all had hoped that this thing would be over by now.
Right.
Unfortunately, we know how this sport works. I mean, it's such a bad marriage. It's going to take until a deadline to get a deal, and it might take past a deadline to get a deal. That's the shame of this.
Right.
And now that football's over, I mean, the attention really is on baseball to get this done. We want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Jim, while we have a moment. Aura, the newest partner of the Wrap-Up Show here on YouTube. They are a natural supplement and plant-based nutrition company, and they've got the healthiest supplements on the market. They all taste delicious. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan and a San Diegan, and Aura has an office, in fact, in San Diego. And because he's a fan of the Wrap-Up Show, he's got a great offer for our viewers. 30% off your first order at aura.organic. We have a link down below, ora.organic. Again, 30% off your first order. I've been taking a probiotic. It is vegan. It is plant-based. This stuff is life-changing, whether it's a probiotic or a protein supplement, fish oils, all the supplements you need, plant-based and affordable, and 30% off, Jim, your first order with the link down below, promo code WRAPUP.
Yeah, and I've been using this pre-workout raspberry lemonade flavor. Yep. It's delicious. It tastes great. Sometimes if you just like wake up in the morning and you need like an energy boost and you don't want to have some coffee, I recommend the raspberry lemonade flavor pre-workout from Aura. The best thing about it is it's jitter-free. So when you take it, you're not going to get the jitters like you get from the other pre-workouts in the game. And also, once you're done with your workout, you're not going to crash. Like it's not a situation where you get spiked with energy and all of a sudden you crash after your workout. This will not happen with this pre-workout. Again, www.aura.organic, promo code WRAPUP, 30% off your first order. Go to their website. They have a bunch of different things to look at. It's not just pre-workouts. It's not just probiotics. It's not just protein powders. It's literally everything you could possibly imagine if you want to live a healthy lifestyle. So again, www.aura.organic. We're giving you 30% off your first order with promo code WRAPUP.
Can we talk about Austin Meadows for a moment?
Sure. Why?
Yeah, because have you seen the reports that the Rays are going to consider trades for Austin Meadows, who's controllable, an outfielder in the prime of his career? This is a very Rays type move. They've got younger players that are available to help. They could move Meadows and get a haul potentially in return. I think from a team like the Padres' perspective, what you like about Meadows is he's controllable and he doesn't cost what Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Michael Conforto, right, Chris Bryant cost. So you talk about creativity with someone like Hosmer. When I think about the Padres' outfield dilemma, they're going to have to get creative as well. If it's not Suzuki, it's probably not going to be the big spend Castellanos type move. Maybe it is a move via trade. We know the Rays and the Padres have locked horns before with trades. So Austin Meadows, who somewhat intriguing. He had a nice year in terms of power. He had 27 home runs last year. He didn't hit for average. He had 230 something. 2 WAR, just over a 2 WAR player. I think that would be at least a route to consider if you're AJ Preller, because again, it's very affordable. Now it's going to take trade parts, but there's an affordability there. A former first-round pick. He was a former first-round pick of the Pirates back in 2013. He's not an old guy. How old is he? I'd have to look it up. But he's still relatively young. Let's see. He made his big league debut as a 23-year-old in 2018. So you're talking about 26, 27-year-old player. What do you think about Austin Meadows of the Rays?
Well, if they're shopping him, Preller has a history of trading with the Rays.
Right.
So there's a line of connection there. And once this lockout ends, every team, not just the Padres, they're going to have to get very creative with anything they do, because it's going to be so fast paced. Everything's on like super tracked by months and weeks to get these deals done. So yeah, if they can get a guy like Meadows, or I see also here in the chat a guy like Mitch Haniger, who all-star catcher. He actually can provide like power behind the plate. Now, granted, they also signed Jorge Alfaro, whatever that's worth, as catcher. He can play first base. He can play outfield, I guess. You have, a couple other catchers, Campusano potentially. So would you get another catcher on this roster? I mean,
how many catchers can you have in a 40-man? 40 catchers on your 40-man roster?
They have 4 right now.
Right.
So they have Nola, Campusano, Haniger, not Haniger. I'm already thinking ahead. Alfaro, and I'm blanking on.
Who have you said? You said Nola. You said
Nola. I'm literally blanking on his name.
Someone put in the chat.
Like an idiot.
Oh, the Caratini, did you say?
Caratini. I'm such an idiot. Yeah. Victor Caratini.
Come on, man.
Dude,
by the way, Mark Topkin, who covers the Rays, mentioned that the Rays are going to shop Austin Meadows. He said they're also maybe going to shop Manny Margot. Interesting
you
name.
You can come home again?
Right? I mean, so Austin Meadows and Manny Margot. The thing is, their system is loaded with young talent. This is what they do continually.
Oh, is Haniger an outfielder or catcher? Mitch Haniger? Who's their catcher for the Rays? I don't know the Rays roster, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I think he's definitely played outfield, right? Let's see.
Mitch Haniger, outfielder.
Haniger, 31 years of age. Let's pull up his stats here. See what he's done here. Haniger, a 3-WAR player last year, 800 OPS. Had a better year than Austin Meadows. Hit 39 home runs last year.
But he's an outfielder, right? I'm an idiot. Who's their catcher? I'm thinking.
You're thinking of another Haniger, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
wait,
30 years of
dude,
age.
I'm so lost. Mitch Haniger plays in Seattle? What the hell's going on here? Guys, don't ask me to talk about
it's February.
American League Baseball.
It's February for us, too.
Oh, my gosh.
But actually really had a nice year. 100 RBIs, 39 homers, 804 OPS. Had a nice year. I mean, these are the names. Yeah, these are intriguing names, like a Haniger, and Austin Meadows, probably more so than a Manny Margot. There's going to be some options for AJ Preller. Let's not sit here and lie to each other. He's not just going to start some. He's not going to have some guy that was in AA last year that hit 240.
But also, I will say, having technically a middle of the order farm system, you're not gifted the opportunities to, if someone else comes in with a better offer, you can't like up it. And if you want to give away big pieces in your farm system, we've talked a lot about trading away, guys like Hassel and trading away guys like Campusano. And what are they going to do with Mackenzie Gore? So they don't have a lot of firepower here,
right,
to trade for guys like Mitch Haniger or Meadows, potentially. If someone else comes in, like the Dodgers, who have a number 1 farm system, or the Giants, who have a top 10 farm system, or whoever else is in front of the Padres, they don't have the firepower they used to make deals.
No, they don't. I mean, they've got that high-level talent. They got 3 or 4 players that are considered to be, top 100 caliber players in baseball. But
Zanino, that's who I'm thinking of. That's who it is, Zanino.
Yeah, and of course Mejia. We're familiar with Mejia as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you for that.
It's funny that you said that though, because I feel like there's been a Haniger that has caught in the big leagues as well.
Maybe who knows?
Whatever.
I'm not up to date on my Mitch Haniger or the Haniger family.
You need to watch more Mariners.
Yeah, I do. I probably do. That's my bad. Sorry.
They had a nice year, by the way.
I know.
All right, let's get to some of these. Questions again. If you want to make sure we get to your question, you can do the super chat feature. Otherwise, let's try to get to a handful here. Football season over. We turn our attention to baseball. Please lockout end. Right. I mean, we've got a couple of weeks to work with, but please end.
This is ridiculous. Let's see here. Should I go all the way back to the top here for questions?
By the way, he was catching.
So he's
absolutely
right?
caught. Yeah, he's absolutely caught.
Okay, so at least so he caught. He's played catcher, right?
Yeah, he had an unfortunate circumstance happen while catching in the big leagues. I'll leave it at that. You may recall it a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay. Let's go here. Alex, what about Mazzara as DH if he shows out at spring training and they can't get Cruz? I'd rather have a DH. I'd rather have a player at DH that is like just there for hitting. And this team needs pop. This team needs power in the worst way possible because they don't have it right now besides Machado and Tatis. You could put Cronenworth in the mix there, but at the same time, Cronenworth's going to give you 20 to 25 bombs. He's not really, I would designate as like a power guy. He's just a really good hitter. He's like a really good baseball player. Cruz, on the other hand, you can put down 35 bombs right now. And he's feared every time he gets to the plate.
Right. I mean, listen, Mazzara's got legit power, but there's a reason he was signed to a minor league deal. Like, he's a complete flyer. I mean, the difference between Mazzara and Cruz is significant, you would think, heading into camp. Not to say Mazzara can't produce. I mean, look at some of his home runs are ridiculous. I mean, he's hit like 550-foot home runs. I mean, he's got legit raw power. How does it play out over 162 or over 500 plate appearances in the big leagues? I would go with Nelson Cruz, but Nelson Cruz costs money. And Nomar Mazzara is a minor league free agent. So I understand that point.
Schwarber is another name I think would be great for a DH. The only thing with Schwarber is he's going to cost a lot more than Nelson Cruz. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, multiple years, right?
Right. Cruz would be a 1-year deal, I would think. And
Definitely.
Schwarber would be a multiple-year deal player. Do you want to spend that much money with the amount of money you're already spending? Do you want to spend that much money on Schwarber? I don't know if you want to. And we lost John. All right, let's try to get John back. Totally didn't see what happened there. Hold on. Love a live wrap up show. Resend John a link. There we go. All right, keep your questions rolling here. Here's a funny one. AJ Brown for DH. No, I don't think so. It's a nice little story. It's cute. AJ Brown is a guy that would be a nice like story if spring training was longer. But at the same time, I don't think that's gonna happen. Let's see here. Hosmer, Myers for Hayward plus cash and sign Bryant. I don't know about that one. I think that if wherever Hosmer would be traded, they're going to have to pay a good amount of his deal. And is that going to be something that the Cubs want to do? I don't know. And let's look back. Here we go. Did we got John back?
I think so.
John, what happened?
My computer literally shut down for an update.
What happened, bro?
Can you hear me?
I hear you on your computer. Hook up your mic.
Well, I'm on my phone now.
Well, go to your settings and go to the mic settings and switch over to your mic.
Okay, hold on.
For once, it's not my computer that messed up. It's yours.
Dude, this is unbelievable. Wait, so can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I'm going through questions here.
Yeah.
Franmil for DH. Here's the thing about Franmil. He's under contract with the Cleveland Guardians. They need to trade for him. They can't do that. If he was a free agent, yeah, he'd be the top of my list. But you can't get Franmil unless you trade for him. And we know the whole situation with Franmil liking that Hosmer tweet and then posting pictures on his Instagram story about wanting to, not play again in San Diego, but like the what is it? The tweets or the stuff about Manny Machado. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone wants not Franmil. I know.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna log in on my computer in a minute.
Okay. I have a feeling like Will might potentially have a bounce back season and produce at a relatively high level. That's what I honestly think that's what everyone always thinks every single year with Will Myers. Like, okay, he's gonna have a bounce back year and he's gonna hit you 25, 30 bombs like he did in his All-Star year. But we've seen a lot of Will Myers and we know how he is and we know that he can get hot, but majority of the time it's very frustrating to watch. It's a very frustrating watch with Will Myers, no doubt about it. And the good thing is this year is his last year, right? This is his last year with the team. His last year with $20 million. And yeah, it's just going to be over once the season ends with him.
That's why I think, real quick, I think you could move Will Myers a lot easier than Eric Hosmer. I think for a team that is like, in need of outfield help, short-term outfield help, I think the contract doesn't hinder you from making a move like that because he's only owed $20 million for 1 year. If it's 3 or 4 years, you can't move him. But I think he could. There's a potential, at least, that Will Myers could be moved in season. Certainly.
Michael says, "Have we considered that Haas and Will may play better under professional manager?" If that was the case, these guys should not be playing professional baseball. You can't just all of a sudden decide you're going like that's not. No, I'm sorry. Like, these guys are professionals, and no matter who the manager is, they should try to play up to their potential every single time they're out there. Just because they have managers like Andy Green and Jace Tingler, and now they have a guy like Bob Melvin, they're all of a sudden gonna be better because they have a better manager. Like, I don't buy into that.
Right. I hope he's right. I hope you're right, Michael, but I don't think there's any guarantee.
Right. Kimberly, she said, realistically, how many regular season games are we missing this season? The sides seem so far apart. Right now, at this very moment, would you give the over-under, John? I'm giving you the over-under at 10.5. So that's like about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay, you're saying over-under games missed 10.5. So are we going to play 152 or more games in 2022?
Yeah.
In my opinion, yes. I do believe Major League Baseball will play 152 plus games. In my opinion, they'll play 162. I know that that's getting harder to believe and rationalize and fathom. But Rob Manfred just said literally 2 days ago that it would be, quote unquote, disastrous for baseball to lose games. He's the commissioner of the sport. Both sides have a lot on the line financially. They can ill afford for this to continue into the season. I hope I'm right. I hope they play 162. And even if they don't, I would hope that this is resolved in early March, which would allow us to play as close to 162 as possible.
Right. I think any games missed this year, like you said, and like Rob Manfred said, would be absolutely disastrous to the sport. Coming off of like the most amazing NFL playoffs ever, you're going to be going up against March Madness, college basketball, and your sport's in a lockout, bro. You can't miss any games. You cannot miss any games. Let's go to. Nope. Sorry. Send Kim to left field. No.
No, the last time Kim was in left field, I think he got in a fight. No, that was Pham in left field when Kim collided with Pham.
Kim was technically in left field. We was in left field technically this past year, and then he ran over Tommy Pham, and then Tommy Pham blew up at him and almost fought Hassan Kim. Travis says, "Can you really believe anything Manfred says?" I will give him a fair point. Exactly. I'll give him credit for him talking last week, but yeah, I don't really have much faith in Rob Manfred. I just don't. Until it gets done, until he actually does something good for the sport. Like we had, I think it was who was it? Was it Jesse Rogers or I forget who we had on the show, but I asked him, I was like, what is Manfred's legacy? And right now he's like, well, he still has time to create a legacy for him in a positive way. But to me, that says so far as commissioner of baseball, he's done nothing. He's done nothing. And you're now in the midst of creating a black eye for your legacy.
Where did you land real quick? Where'd you land on the over under 10.5 games missed?
Oh, I'm gonna say under. I just put 10.5 as like 2 weeks, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna be super optimistic and say they don't miss any games.
I like
hopefully.
Yeah.
Shout out to Michael again. Thank you for the super chat.
Thanks, Michael.
It's not Manfred, it's Man Clown. I like it. Very, very well said.
I mean, real quick with Michael from the super chat too. It's like, Manfred, to your point, Jim, it's like your legacy is on the line. What has he done for this sport? I mean, if you could somehow salvage this, there's some benefit of the doubt. I mean, if you can get 162 out of this, you can say he's actually been a good labor negotiator and he's avoided stoppages over the last 25 years. So He still has a little bit on the line if he can find a way to get this thing done.
Yeah. I do kind of like this idea of getting Hosmer back to Kansas City. They are a rebuilding team. They could possibly take on some cash, send him back to a place where he had actual success.
What do you think is? I'm trying to think. If you're Kansas City, let's think about this for a second. Let's say you take on half of those dollars. You take on $30 million for 4 years. That's only $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
You take on a mid-level Padres prospect, top 15 prospect, not a top 5, a top 15 prospect. So you take on $7 million in salary for each of the next 4 years. That's not a big deal. You get a fan favorite. You get a player that contributes to you potentially in 2023 or 2024 because you get that prospect. Maybe that's not outside the realm of a possibility. Maybe you get 2 prospects. Maybe you get 2 top 30 guys as opposed to 1 top 15.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Send him back to a place that he had success where he's beloved there for winning a World Series. Like, it makes sense. Why the Kim hate? He was getting better until the pointless Frazier trade. There's no hate on Ha-Seong Kim. I'm just telling you how it is. He hit 202 last year with a 270 on base percentage. Like, are you really going to try to spin that as like good? It's not. He's a great defender, Gold Glove type of defender, but he can't hit. That's not hate. It's just facts.
Yeah, I mean, let's use like Freddie Galvis as the comparison. Seriously, like if you looked up Freddie Galvis is a brilliant defensive player. I mean, one of the best defensive players in baseball for a number of years. But you have to ask yourself, like, are you winning with Freddie Galvis at the plate? Because he's always been a below-average hitter. Serviceable. I think a serviceable hitter. He hit better.
He's a better hitter than Ha-Seong Kim. I tell you that.
And yet, still, Freddie Galvis bounces around because he really is a little bit of a liability offensively. It's like, is Kim going to be the hitter that Freddie Galvis has been in the big leagues? And if not, it's going to be hard to play him and start him 100 times.
Well, I mean, Galvis was here and he was everyday shortstop. He actually had a really good year. But like said,
I'm going to come back to you. Hold on.
Okay.
You keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Let's go here. I feel like Kim could thrive with everyday at bats, but he's never going to get that in San Diego. You're right. He's not going to be an everyday player. He's really good part-time player. He's a really good filling guy if you need somebody for like 2 weeks or a week and a half, but he's not an everyday player. That's just not how it is. Okay, but at the same time, even when he was getting reps, it wasn't like he did a couple good things. All right, I'll give him credit. He did a couple good things. But to think Ha-Seong Kim can be an everyday player after what you saw last year offensively, I understand the reps part, but you're not getting reps over Cronenworth. You're not getting reps over Tatis. You're not getting reps over Machado, and he's not playing first base. So he's going to have to learn how to be in his role as a backup 2 games a week type of player, and he needs to do better. That's just plain and simple. You're right. He's not getting enough reps, but who are you going to take the reps from away? You're going to take away at bats from Cronenworth? No. You're going to take away at bats from Tatis? Absolutely not. You're going to take bats away from Manny Machado? No. So it is what it is with Ha-Seong Kim.
I'm back.
You back, John?
I'm back. I apologize for my computer shutting down for the automatic update.
How bad did you want to punch your computer?
I was so mad. And great job, by the way, because I've been enjoying this. Edward, to Edward's point, listen, I'm with you, Edward. It's not entirely fair because of the transition from the KBO to the big leagues to expect him to transition and perform year one. I think the reason I'm critical, and maybe Jim is as well, is that AJ Preller paid him like a regular. And I'm wondering if he's going to be a regular. To Jim's point, you've got the left side, the left side of your infield is going to be the same for the next 5 years. Yeah. So did you pay Ha-Seong Kim to be a versatile guy? You paid him $7 or $8 million a year for his versatility and his ability to be a defensive replacement. I think they need more pop off their bench than they do, defensive flexibility. But again, it's not like the book's closed on Ha-Seong Kim. He could become a better hitter. The question is, how good of a hitter can he become over the next 12 months?
I like this question from Kimberly. Who would you want more, Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson? If all things were the same, who would you want more?
For the chat, let's answer that. I say Olson. And the reason I say that is, let's be realistic. Freeman's going to get, give me a team-friendly deal for Freeman. It's a fortune of money, right? It's 5 years minimum, and it's a fortune of money. Matt Olson, you get for 2 years on the cheap, and you could extend him out, and you could envision having him for 4 or 5 years for much less money than Freddie Freeman. So I got to think about, not just 2022, but 2023. And Freeman's not a kid. I mean, Freeman's been awesome, but I say Matt Olson.
I would agree with that. If all things were the same, money's not involved, I might choose Freddie Freeman. But Matt Olson's a hell of a baseball. I mean, he's a hell of a player. He is really good. He is very underrated because he's in Oakland and not talked about a lot. Yeah, a lot of people like Matt Olson. Matt Olson.
I mean, look at Olson's year. I get it. I mean, Freeman won the World Series. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Olson's a much younger player.
Matty Olson. Freeman, a much younger player. I mean, the dude had a amazing year last year.
Yep.
Really good.
Now Freeman's a winner. I mean, he's an MVP. Yeah. He's a winner. He's a World Series winner. You can't go wrong with either. I'm just thinking about the next few years, That's a good point by Edward.
Yeah. His family loves Tatis. It'd be a perfect fit. And he'd be beloved here in San Diego, 1,000%. And he'd produce better than the first baseman on the team right now.
That's true.
How likely is it the Padres are getting Castellanos? What would you give? Right now, I would give it like I'd put it at like 20%.
I'd go lower.
Lower? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because there's going to be so many options. So, like, what's most likely? Trade for an outfielder in the big leagues. Seiya Suzuki.
Internal.
Internal. Then like the Confortos and the whomever else, Chris Bryant's, and I mean, there's all there. Even if they do spend big in a free agent outfielder, is it going to be Nick Castellanos? Michael says 50%. I mean,
Michael says 12.5%.
Yeah, I see it as like I know Kevin Acey's written about it. He has said that they have an interest in Nick Castellanos. So maybe I'm wrong. I see it as a 1 in 10 at best. I really do. I think he's gonna get paid $150 million.
We already have a World Series winning first baseman. Yeah, that can't hit.
Isn't that amazing?
And he can't field.
It's crazy.
How the drop off that he's had since he's come to San Diego. And I'm not saying he was like this all world player in Kansas City, but at least when you look at his numbers, it's like, okay, he had almost 400 on base, and he didn't really do anything in the postseason with the Royals, but still, it's just, it's just frustrating.
Oh, you're right. I just pulled up the other day. I think his OPS is about 50 points lower. It's 43 points lower in a Padres uniform, from 781 to 738 in his Padres career. I mean, even 781, you extremely overpaid.
It's not,
but he's got to get it back to like 781. I mean, he's had a year where he's had he had an 882 OPS, Jim, in 2017. 882. Then he came to San Diego his first year, 720.
But he had 99 RBIs one year, John.
Yeah, well, they won 60 games that year, Jim.
Right, I know. It's the adage
I know you do.
Adage that someone on a crap team has to get RBIs, right?
Exactly.
Let's see here. A couple more here because we got a bunch of these. Pods fan chimes in. If you were Preller, what moves would you do after the lockout and for spring training? Great question. For me, first move they need to do is get a left fielder, preferably one with power, or at least one with the potential of power. We've talked about it. Say Suzuki. If they end up signing Nelson Cruz, and I don't want this to happen. I know a lot of fans don't want to happen, but if they re-sign Tommy Pham to a cheap 1-year deal and then sign Nelson Cruz to a 1-year deal for your DH, would you be okay with that? I would. So you would have,
right. So you would have Cruz and Pham as your position player additions,
right?
Signings.
And then you can do a platoon with Profar in left field, or Alfaro, or wherever it is, and you still have that power bat this team needs with Nelson Cruz as your DH. And it won't cost you a lot, because especially if you can't get rid of Hosmer and Myers, which has been reported that they're going to look to try to get rid of one of those guys to make a run at Castellanos or Bryant or Suzuki or whoever it may be. But if they can't do it, you got to get creative, and you need some bodies.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'm doing is making sure that Nick Martinez deal goes through. That veteran starter from Japan, I need that. because I need more starting pitching depth. So I have to have a player like Nick Martinez who comes on the cheap as well. I'm definitely signing Nelson Cruz if I can. And then I'm looking at my options in the outfield, like you said, from the most expensive, from Nick Castellanos all the way down to trading for name the player, whether it's Austin Meadows or whomever.
I like this name, Michael Conforto.
I don't think he's a buy low corner outfielder, right? Is Boris his agent, whoever it is? Yeah, I mean,
Boris is his agent.
I don't think it's going to be buy low. I think it's going to be actually buy high, maybe not as high as it once was because he didn't have a good 2021, right?
No.
It's an interesting name. I mean, Conforto last year had a 729 OPS. That's a bad year. His career is 824. So yeah, maybe cheaper than he once was, but let's be honest, he's 28 with Scott Boras as his agent entering free agency. I mean, what's cheap? What's cheap for Michael Conforto? He's 28 years of age.
Like probably like a 4-year. He'd want like a 4 or 5 year deal.
460. 4 years, 60, 580.
Conforto or Suzuki, same contract. Who do you want?
I mean, my feeling. I'm all in on Suzuki. I just think he's got a higher ceiling. But Conforto's had some big years in the big leagues. You could make a case, easy case for Michael Conforto. Easy.
Right. If the money was the same.
Yeah.
I might lean Conforto just because he's done it, and Suzuki's a guy that I do still have reservations about. Not as like just like contributing right away. Because the thing is, this team needs somebody to contribute in 2022. If say Suzuki, if it takes him 2.5, 3 years to like truly pop, great. But is that helping you in 2022? No, it's not. Right. And you need someone to help right now. And I'm tired of waiting, and I'm tired, and fans are tired of waiting. And the whole prospect thing that's why it bugs me, because don't you want to win now, guys? Like, don't you want to win next year? Be damned. Or do you just want to like continuously think about 3 years from now?
I'm with you, man. And you look at Conforto, he's had some nice years. I mean, 2020, again, I don't know what to make of 2020. He had a huge year. His rookie year, he had a huge year. He's been kind of hot and cold. Every other year, he's been good, then bad. But I like the name. I like it a lot.
Signing Castellanos would be worse decision than Hosmer deal. You could argue we don't even know the contract yet. So if Castellanos would get like the same contract as Hosmer, then maybe. But at least Castellanos is a proven power bat. Hosmer was never a proven power bat. I think the most home runs he had in a year is like 25 or something.
Right.
Castellanos has had big years. So he's a little different than Hosmer.
I mean, there's some validity. There's something to that. Like if you got to go 7 years, you know what I mean? Or if you have to go that extra 10 or 20 or $30 million to get it done. His home road splits have been have leaned very heavily towards Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Not to say it wouldn't be a good signing. You just wonder, like, what is it worth? Can you give another player $200 million? And if so, what kind of numbers does he need to have for it to be justified?
I'm biased towards wanting Castellanos because he's a family friend.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, he's
cool.
been a great big leaguer, obviously, But again, I mean, everyone's got a price. Like, Travis would probably say pay him whatever, and I get that. That makes sense if you're a family friend. But I mean, is he worth $30 million a year? That's a lot of money. How many position players can you pay $30 million a year to, Jim? And they can't pay all their position players $30 million a year. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. AMG says win now. I agree with you. Win now. No more waiting. They have to win now. And you kind of, I feel like, have to do everything in your power to win now. So.
All right. We want to thank everyone for contributing today on the wrap-up show, this live edition, or if you're watching on replay, we appreciate you hanging out with us here tonight as we are through football, turning our attention to baseball. And again, if you're a supporter of the wrap-up show, if you're looking forward to baseball this year, we ask you to consider Mark Nimitz for your insurance needs, auto, home, renters, or life, even more than that. I just switched over my earthquake insurance. He can help you save over $400 this year. So please consider clicking the link down below and going with Mark. He's a huge Padres fan. He's a San Diegan. He'd love to talk to you about the Padres and your insurance needs. He's got great service and communication. I always talk about it. So if you have insurance needs, you can click that link down below for Mark Nimitz.
Yeah. His phone number and email address is above my head right here. mnimitz@farmersagent.com. That's mnimitz@farmersagent.com. Reach out to him. And when you do, let them know that John and Jim from the wrap-up show sent you.
Padres baseball is coming back at some point soon. Trust us. It will be back.
Also, shout out to our newest sponsor, Aura, www.aura.organic. Go there right now. Use our promo code WRAPUP. Get 30% off your first order. They have protein powders. They have probiotics. They have fish oil pills. They have pre-workouts. The pre-workout I'm taking, raspberry lemonade flavor. It's delicious. Tastes great. Jitter-free. You won't have a crash after your workout. You can even just take it to get an energy boost during the day. Go there right now. www.aura.organic, promo code WRAPUP, 30% off your first order. You're welcome.
And also, by the way, if you're purchasing Padres tickets in 2022, we've got a link down below. Fan Protect guarantee through StubHub. So when you purchase tickets for 2022, there will be baseball. And thank you, Sam. Use our link down below. If you're a Padres fan, you can purchase your tickets through StubHub. All right. Again, for Padres fans, this is the place to be. Year-round exclusive Padres content. Please subscribe if you are a Padres fan. Baseball is coming, and we're pumped to provide content for you all year long. Hit that notification bell as well. Smash the like button if you've been with us at any point over the last 1 hour. And follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Until next time, and there's going to be a ton to talk about now that we're past the Super Bowl and heading hopefully towards
all
a resolution
Padres
here.
All the time.
Hopefully this lockout will end soon. We're going to be talking Padres for you throughout February and March and into the regular season as well. For Jim, I'm John. You've been watching the wrap-up show presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.